So I'm going to invite just some ideas about why having more money is good or bad. I think having more funds, more access to understanding how to create money, to bring more money into your life is terrible when we can't do it, because I never felt like for a long time, because I spend most of my time working out how to save money, and I became really jealous and angry and bitter and resentful of anyone I saw who had more money than me. And I felt really frustrated and pissed off and annoyed at all the people who had less money than me, because I could help them. So I was just really angry and quite an unpleasant version of myself for quite a long time. And internally, I didn't enjoy, for many reasons, I didn't enjoy being alive for quite a long time. But I found that a lot of that was centered on money, and the fact that we need it every day was problematic because it brought my stuff up constantly. And because I was quite unconscious, completely unconscious for a lot of that. And then even when I started my healing journey and I was pinging around the cosmos and healing my inner child and working out how to heal sexual trauma, I still was resentful of money and how much all of that cost, and how beautiful suddenly I found that clothing and food could be, and how much all of that cost, and was even in the healing spaces being triggered by just bloody money, right? It just took up all of the space that I could have been in creativity and flow and gratitude and abundance and enjoying being alive, right? Like, we've got to take that while we can, because life's hard enough. Hello. And so I didn't enjoy life. And a lot of that was focused on money. And, you know, it comes down to money creating a way that you can appreciate life more, the way that you can help others more, the way that you can serve more, and the way that you can fill your own cup up more. And ultimately, money gives you freedom. It gives you freedom to make more choices. It gives you more freedom how you spend your time. Gives you more freedom to be able to invest and create and tend the shoots and roots coming through of projects and people and opportunities that you believe in. And if you can't, it can be very difficult and very challenging. I'm sure you get that. And I'm sure that on some level, that's why you're here. So you're in the right place if you don't like money. You think we shouldn't really have it, and we should all be in some 5D unicorn reality right now, like just flicking stardust at each other and making shit happen. You're in the right place if you know how to make money through your corporate job, but actually it's burning you out and you want to do something else and you don't know how to have the same quality of life. You're doing it in a different way. You're in the right place if you feel really blessed and abundant, but that money has come through an inheritance for your parents or a partner, and you don't know or don't feel like you're equipped to bring it in yourself. You're in the right place if you get pissed off about how much organic food is because you want it, and it blows your mind if you go to Whole Foods or wherever you get your organic food from. You're in the right place if you waste a lot or spend a lot of time checking coupon codes, searching for offers, working out the free trials, going from yoga studio to do all the free trials, getting new passwords, new email addresses to go back and get the free trials again. I had done it all, you know, like, there's no shame here. I'm talking from experience. You know, like, just my Sunday used to be going from the supermarket to the supermarket, which time they reduce their food, where they put the food, where they get sneaky and suddenly move the reduced food corner, like, to save 40p on, like, milk, Helen. Like, you know, it was a 2-hour trip. Like, what was I doing? I spent all that time working out how to make money. It would have moved faster. But, you know, it's... once I figured it out, it's moved very fast. Hands up, who has heard me talk about money before? Great. Okay. You might hear some of the same things again, but the last year has been crazy. And since I started talking about money, it's all been moving very fast again, which has been very exciting, but required me to do a deep walk of trust to walk my talk. My name's Helen Millar with an AR. You still pronounce it Miller, but it's the Scottish spelling. If at any point you need me to speak louder, just give me a wave. And I didn't grow up with lots of money. I grew up with a lot of unhelpful thoughts around money. I was told, and literally in these words, good people work with people and have to work really hard for money, and bad people work with money and are rich. So I was looking through a lens of bad people. I didn't want to be a bad person. And since I was 4, I wanted to be an actress. And I did. Became an actress that never stopped. And I nailed the starving artist archetype to a fucking T, right? My resentfulness and my struggling and my handing out the Metro newspaper at 6 a.m. to people I didn't like in suits because they were making money, right? I gave out canapes to people who said Kenya rather than Kenya, which is how I spoke about where they were going on holiday next. I served the Queen a gin and tonic, whose brooch, I think, sort of probably is more money than most people's homes. And I was just surrounded by people with lots of money in service, resenting every moment I was there, and then resenting how much I was paid in order to be able to act, and then was so in need and desperation for the jobs. I was a really unattractive, energetic person to be around because I was always in lack, right? But I grew up in London, and I, like I imagine most people, was raised by parents with a lot of addictions and unconscious behaviour and a lot of abuse. I'd blocked out. I came in later in my healing journey, and I, long story short, kept on attracting trauma because I was suicidal and putting a lot of myself in a lot of risks. Tried to leave the planet 3 times. I'm very, very grateful I'm still here. And then I had an epic cut through the matrix, and there's no going back awakening 10 years ago at Glastonbury Festival because I ate all the mushrooms, 3 bags of mushrooms, because I didn't know. I was just used to snorting lines, so I didn't know that mushrooms would do anything, and I lost everyone I was with, and I was given all the mushrooms to keep because they thought, because I said, I'm not going to do mushrooms. Like, I was on crack at 14. Like, I knew my class A's. Anyway, I lost everybody, and I thought, And I ate them like popcorn because I was used to an instant. And after 3 bags of mushrooms 3 days later, I was a different person. Not recommending that. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that. I'm grateful. There's a lot of protection involved. But there's been no going back to who I was prior to that experience. And on that healing journey, I'm still an actress in my being. I feel the power of story is deeply needed. Since the lockdowns and mandates, it's not the main focus of my life, but alongside acting, because of the sense of humor God has, and I'll reference what I think of when I say God later. But I won an award, and because of that, this guy in business met me, and he thought I was an interesting wild child who couldn't care about money, and he was like a head of the big part, East and Middle Asia of American Express, and he was like, oh, the C-suite, which is like all the CEO, CFO, all those guys, they need some help with communication skills. This was in the crash in 2008. And you could come in and teach them how to make eye contact and present, and they use their voice and things. And I said yes, because I was told how much I'd get paid for the day. And I thought, I'm going to be all these rich wankers, and I'm going to in my unconscious behavior. And so I went in, and because I didn't respect their roles or their work, because it wasn't in the arts and they made money. So, of course, according to my mom, they were bad people. I kind of went down quite well because I was they were unused to being that kind of way, being treated like that. Come in if you can squeeze in. There is a little bit somewhere unsure, and then we might have to call it. And so I had this parallel career, and I wasn't acting, and I wasn't handing out the metro, and I wasn't serving canapes, and I wasn't doing all the other jobs that I resented for minimum wage. I would occasionally be able to go into business and spend a day telling people what to do as an actor. And I did a lot of training with that in different ways. And then I had this big awakening with the mushrooms, and sometime later, and I wanted to start being able to help people in myself, because I'd started to heal enough to be able to help. I started running cacao ceremonies back in 2019. And then when the lockdowns happened, everything that I did stopped, because all of it involved traveling, being with people, rolling around on the floor, hugging, being emotional. And I couldn't do any of those things. I also rented a flat in Waterloo, and I sublet the bedrooms so that I could afford my rent and offset it to other people who worked in companies like BlackRock and Deloitte. And I was lived in the living room, and that was how I lived. And my view was a brick wall. And that's where I lived for 11 years. And then when the lockdowns happened, my mum had just died. My partner had just left. And both of my flatmates were European, so they left the country. And I was liable for my rent and their rent. I was deep in grief, and all my work had stopped. And I also didn't believe the government. And I wasn't scared about the thing. But I had drunk a huge amount of plant medicine, because the mushrooms were just the gateway to many treks to the jungle and many, 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 many ceremonies. And then I stopped drinking in 2019. The plants told me, you need to integrate, babes. And then I realised in lockdown why I drank so much, because I felt suddenly everything activate and come online in order that I could help people. And that then meant that I kind of pulled in the coaching work, I pulled in the ceremony work, and I started speaking online. I started my YouTube channel. I just started doing things on Facebook. I went viral, and then I sort of set it up, and that's grown into my business today, which is Heart Healer Limited. And I have a team. It's all just magical, right? I had I just have followed the breadcrumbs, and it's all come in. And I work with clients and groups and run retreats and run programs. I have one-to-one clients, and I also go into businesses still. But now I talk about conscious leadership and heart-centered intelligence and emotional intelligence. And I wear my crystals, but sometimes I put them under the suit until they're slightly cracked enough I can hang them out and they don't run away screaming. Occasionally they get a complaint. It's too woo. But I generally get away with it, and I feel like I'm making a difference, because if I can come at it from both angles, we can rise and we can create more love coming in, trickling down here. We can start creating the change, and that's my mission. So thank you for being here and being part of the mission. That's me. I'd like to know why you're here, so feel free to shout out any particular reason why you've chosen to be here, and not at Yoni Egg Creation or whatever else of beautiful offering you could be at.
Yeah. Hi. I am Indian in background, and I feel like intergenerationally, because back in the day my family had to flee from East Africa and fled to England for safety. There was a lot of the wound of lack and scarcity and not enough, and because of that, my family really encouraged me to go down the path of being a professional and a dentist, and make sure you have this sense of safety in your career, which I've never found. And I've never been rewarded financially for the input either. And so what's brought me here is that I believe that if you come back to unlearning everything that you learn and you stay authentic to yourself, money becomes energy, and it's just a relationship that you have with another energy, and you learn to treat it as that. And when you fill it with abundance, it gives it back to you abundance. And I'm just here to continue to unlearn everything that I was taught from a place of fear, which is understandable. So
You just covered all my key points, so thank you very much. Checks in the post. PayPal, electronic. We don't use checks anymore. Whatever we're using. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. And money, we don't have to get anywhere. Money is energy. Ultimately, money doesn't exist. And like in here, there's probably lots of internal voices going, yes, Helen, but the tax bill does, or the gas bill, or like whatever. Yes, it does. But when we get into the quantum, it's literally a myth, right? Money is an IOU. Money, especially we're not on the gold reserve. We're not handing each other, most of the time, like they're trying to get rid of cash. Like we're not in solid relationship with it. And so there isn't a finite amount. There's an infinite amount. In the same way, there's an infinite amount of love, right? And if we could start to imbue money as love, we could let it come and go with much more ease and grace. Yeah, Right. Anybody else feel a kinship with doing a job because they were told it was going to be a safe career, or raise that way? This is, yeah. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. I'm doing that a bit. Or it's like, take that. I heart that. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you. Shows the best tea. And other hands are still coming up. Yeah.
Similarly as well, I've got a Eastern European background, and there's a lot of like a struggle to work really hard for money. And I can kind of see that it is just a story, but it's still really hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I feel I've tried to do both, kind of follow my heart and also try and do the safe thing. I'm sort of somewhere in the middle, but it doesn't feel very satisfying. So, yeah, that's your way. I guess, yes, and more I want. I also sense that, yeah, if I align myself with it, then money could come in.
So I guess if you're not in the head and you're not in the heart, you're sitting somewhere around the clavicle, the throat. That's not a particularly satisfying place unless you've got a really hot person kissing it. Sidetrack. I'm sorry. It's a digital workshop. But like when we're in the head, we feel safe, right? Because that's generally where we've been indoctrinated to sit, right? Like control, the masculine, like structure and discipline, and know, like we want to know the answers. Like I want to know, Helen, what's the equation to have more cash in the bank, right? Anyone else feeling a sense of that as they came in? Like, tell me, I want to know. And yet when we come down in the heart, it's the great mystery, but it also has all the answers, and it's also the magnet. And so when we're here, we feel safe, and when we're here, we feel safe. But this has a lot more ego, which means that we're never happy really up here, or it's very short-lived happiness. But when we're down here, we can feel safe and happy. It's just learning how to stay down here more often and to bring ourselves lovingly back down. So I'm just going to take a moment. Thank you for doing this. Okay. If everyone feels this word safe to close their eyes, and if you don't know, it's cool. Just maybe soften the gaze and look at your lap. And I want to take us into a slight prayer meditation. And to do that, I use the word God. And I was an atheist for a long time, and then I was a Buddhist, and the Buddhism transformed my life. I became a Buddhist at the same time I ate all the mushrooms. I was doing a Buddhist chant. I didn't believe in that. Got on a ticket to Glastonbury in 2 days. So the wind is going in here. So through Buddhism, I came to the word God. And for me, you can open your eyes while I share this actually, if you want to, and keep the eyes closed. The word God to me used to feel very alien and empty to me. It didn't bring me anything. I didn't like it. And I used it for the understanding of an energy that I connect to that has unlocked my life and is genderless and is the creator of all that is, including absolutely everything that you've ever seen, internally and externally, physically, imaginatively, psychically, everything that exists in the physical, the non-physical, all the gods and goddesses with names, all the entities, all the dragons, all of that has been created by one consciousness. And that consciousness I call God. And I don't attribute that to a specific religion, although you may refer to that as Allah or some of the other words, and replace whatever language you need in that space for it to work for you. But I feel like we can't really do the work unless we acknowledge God in the space. And that includes money, because it's part of the magic and it's part of the healing. And the more that I continue my journey into understanding or quest, I don't think there's an end to this, of getting closer to God, sometimes the more challenging it becomes, because it includes what's happening in the Middle East. It includes everything I went through as a child. It includes all the injustices. And there's still right and wrong. It's not all non-duality as far as I'm concerned. I believe we have inbuilt knowledge of what's right and wrong. So I don't have answers, but I want to give you that as being part of my understanding of how I work with prayer. Because if something has created all of this, it must know things that I don't. And so it's in dialogue with that I try to find answers and solutions and break through problems, because I think Einstein had some things right, which were we cannot solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that we create it. So that's where the journey and the expansion comes. So with that, I invite you to close your eyes if they haven't been closed already. Yeah, so how do we do? Is the wind coming in a specific direction? Yeah, maybe we could open this door here a little.
And like across into my there and now up digs. Okay. Thank you.
Is that enough, everybody?
Just go ahead and open it because then it up the wall.
Yeah, there's a layer, there's a cord
all the way upstairs. Look at is it cord? She's the one thing. Keep
tray. Okay. So if you want to close your eyes. I'll soften the gaze. Maybe give your seat a little wiggle. Hello, Bum.
Good.
Maybe give your toes a little wiggle. Hello, toes. Maybe swallow. Maybe lick your lips. Maybe breathe deep down into the womb, into the hips. And send that exhale down and out through the ground.
Here.
Being aware that this is a possibly triggering subject that can bring up our shadow. And so I just want to thank all parts of you, the little girls, the ancestors that are here. Maybe you want to invite all of yourself to come in, to sit in this space inside you. And as you take your next breath in, maybe you want to feel that your energy on your exhale opens your roots out so that your root goes further down through this floor into the mycelium, into the trees, into the ley line energy, into the Mother Earth. You can keep on breathing in and sending your energy down. Maybe you feel you've got literal tendrils and roots anchoring you in. And then breathing in to the heart. Maybe you want to put a hand on your heart as you breathe into the heart. Maybe not. And maybe you feel the heart like a rose. And maybe with each inhale, you see the leaves unfurl a little bit more, open a little bit more. Maybe another layer of blossoms, of petals opens. This is a rose that just keeps blooming. You don't have the petals full, it just gets bigger and brighter. Maybe you feel that fill up your whole body. Maybe it comes out of the crown of your head, this heart rose energy. Maybe it fills up your whole energetic body. Maybe it merges into the fields of heart rose energy blossoming around you, and maybe it fills up the whole space. And from this space, just find your peace. You don't have to effort. You can be, let the thoughts run through. You can do their thing. You're bigger than your thoughts. So I'm going to bring your awareness to any flavors you have in your mouth and see if you enjoyed the consumption of those flavors. Being aware of that food or that drink and where that may have come from, who prepared it, where it was grown, how it got from where it was grown to where it was consumed, all the people involved in that, the land it was grown on, all the people involved in tending the land. Maybe it wasn't even food grown on this country, this continent. And the excitement that we get to experience in our taste buds, the variety, no more just cheese sandwiches. We get sushi and soup and Thai and all the delicious things to play with in this lifetime. Just sending a little thanks to your taste buds for being so able to let you enjoy that. Maybe thinking about the most delicious thing you've ever eaten and allow that to maybe put a little smile on your face. Maybe being aware of the best kiss you've ever had. And seeing where you feel that smile. Maybe being aware of where your body felt the most cozy, the most safe, the most snuggly. Just bringing a little bit of awareness for these joyous experiences we can have. Maybe thinking about a time when you laughed so much you cried and weed yourself a little bit at the same time. Or your cheeks ached from laughing and you wanted to stop laughing because it started to be painful. maybe thinking about a present that floored you. Maybe because it showed you how much someone knew you, or how much pleasure it brought you. Maybe thinking about the best hug you've ever had. Maybe thinking about the people in your life who you've made happy. Without the story. Maybe it's an ex-partner, but just thinking about the moments when you've made other people happy. And maybe just dropping all the memories down into the heart and just letting your heart smile. Realizing how much you have experienced and how much you can acknowledge how much you've had. And the beauty of this land that we're all on. And the amazing women who we're surrounded by. And this huge unknown future that lies ahead of us that could be fucking awesome. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for choosing to carve time out of your lifetime to be with other women, to give yourself a break and a place to connect. And I know you've heard these words before, but I want to say you are so much more than you know you are. And you're able to create so much more with your life if you want to. And we don't have to know the how. But in the same way as the acorn becomes the oak tree, there is a blueprint in each of us that is extraordinary. And just because you're not on the timeline that you might think you want to be on right now, we have no idea when things will change. And all the switches and flips and moments of change that we aren't necessarily acknowledging, and how far you've come. And all the epic shit you're shifting from what women had to go through before our generation right now. And how dysfunctional money's been for women and still is. And you being in this space is part of changing that. Because we're not up for being bought and sold anymore. For being dowries and a nice car and a nice wife and genital mutilation and all the things that have happened to sisters. Money is a key to us being able to be us safely more in the world. And any part of you that wants more money is not wrong, is not greedy, is not bad. And any part of you that feels shame around that is so welcome here. But I don't believe it's the truth. I don't believe money is wrong or bad or shameful. It is an energy, it is a power, it is a key. And what we choose to do with it is what matters. And it might mean buying an awesome gilet, or it might mean feeding somebody who can't afford to feed themselves, or getting IFF, or what you need to raise a child, or what it means to help a friend. But money is part of spirituality, it's part of life, it is part of God. And it's really, really welcome into your lives, into your practices, into your spaces, into your friendships. And I invite you to visualize your life with more money. What would that mean for you? What would it mean in terms of what you get at the shops, or where you go on holiday, or how you show up, or where you treat yourself, where you treat others? What would it mean to your parents? What would it mean for your children? What it would mean for your partners or your friendships, or who you attract into your life if those places are in lack right now? If you felt you loved yourself from absolutely every cell in you that exists, of worthiness, of self-love, to have that. And I invite you to dream that dream and see that future and feel what it feels like to be you, embodied in that space, in your life. If there's any part of your body that you want to touch, or you want to squeeze, or you want to send that knowingness to,
Sure.
breathe into that. And I want to plant the seed that that's your truth. That there's nothing you need to change or overcome or get a six-pack for this to be a reality. You're enough. Being human means you're enough. While you're in this space with your eyes closed or dropping in, if there's a thought or a word or a sentence or a mantra that pops into your head that would allow you to keep this knowing, to keep opening, if it maybe just feels like a glimmer or a crack right now into this space, that you can have more money, that it can be easy, that can flow, what would you tell yourself? What do you tell yourself? And I invite you to come back to that as many times a day as you need, and just keep re-anchoring. Because when you do this, you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for all of us. More women with more money, doing more conscious, good living in the world is good for all of us. It shifts the frequency, shifts the story, shifts the paradigm. Gives us more options. So allow yourself to feel good for wanting it. Give yourself permission for leaning into, yes, I have more money coming to me. Yes, I do. And that is good. And that is closer to God. And that is great. And that is fun. And that is all right. What does it feel like for that to be your truth? Okay. Taking a deep breath in, giving your bums a little wiggle, a little squeeze, giving yourself a hug, and when you're ready, in your own time, opening your eyes. I'm just going to invite you to look around the space and just see each other, right? There's a lot was moving in that time. Just look, we're all in this together, right? We all have different backgrounds and stories and flow, but we're all here. Right? Just connect. Connect. Thank you. Okay, take a breath in, and if you need to make a sound, make a sound. If you need to stand up and stamp your feet. And do you know what? I didn't know where I was going to bring these out, but just in the pure abundance of how good life can be, we get chocolate that grows on trees. Like chocolate grows on trees. It does. They're called cacao trees, and if you've seen them in the wild, I've seen them in the jungle. They're eye height, they're human height. They've got "You can't miss me, babes" written all over them. They're little short branches, and hanging off them the size of your forearm is a cacao pod, and they come in red and orange and green and yellow and purple. It's like a Christmas tree, and inside the pod is chocolate. Like, that's the world we live in. Fuck the government, the New World Order, and the World Economic Forum and the agenda. God's plan is abundance and enoughness. So I have some cacao beans. I didn't realize how many of us would be in the space. But you want a cacao bean, take it and pass it on. Oh, I had a question over here.
Yeah. I guess like what I was thinking about, or what I was really feeling during the meditation was how, I suppose with me, like, you know, I've been the person that's dividing money for family, especially with my parents, engineer, coming from like, my parents from the Caribbean, so there's a lot around like what it means to buy and sell, and the value of a person based on what they're learning as well. And I suppose the challenge I have now is I'm at a point where I know the decisions I need to make in my life and what I need to do to go back into having a lot more money. I know those decisions. My body doesn't want to do it anymore. And it has caused challenges with relationships. That week I'm not able to do the same thing with people that I was able to do. And with that being just thinking about like, yeah, I think it's being close God in some people's eyes, they see it more as being, oh, you're such an angel because you're able to do this for me, but if I can't do that anymore, and it's not like, I guess, yeah, that's probably more of the right. There's a way of doing it where it feels like it's in a flow, not in the battle, but it's still, yeah, I guess what it is.
So I'm going to take questions more at the end, but I will say that just because you've earned money in a certain way and being able to provide, the future with abundance and joy and juice doesn't have to be in the same way. It doesn't have to be exhaustion, and it doesn't always have to come from work, right? The thing about having a corporate job or having a job that's paid you, like I've always been self-employed, so apart from when I was 14 and I had a job in a painting and decorating shop, and I knew I was getting for a Saturday, and then I'd go and spend it in the pub. Like, I've never known how much I'm going to earn at the end of every month. I still don't. Like, it's my company. I don't know how much I'm going to get. That keeps the mystery open. And there's something about having a known way that money comes to you that means that you think that's the only way it can come to you. But money comes from God, not from your employer, not from your partner, not from your spouse. So if your body needs to rest, I can't, it's a bigger piece of work than me just saying, just stop it all and lie there, because I need to know and work with you. But potentially you could stop it all and work there and see what happens. I've done it many times and I'm still here. And I don't normally talk numbers, but the last time I did that was when I 8 times my income, because there was more to come to me, but it required the trust of me stopping everything. And the first time I came out of the jungle, Mama Ayahuasca said to me, you got to stop doing all the jobs you hate. So I had to stop handing out the metro and serving canapes to the Queen and resenting every moment I had with my life. And I sat in my flat in London with London rent and a workaholism in me because I didn't trust life yet. I was still in panic and fear, and I worked like 7 days a week because I was just scared of money. But I had to stop, and I lived off £3 a day was my budget, and I sat in my flat going, why have I even got a roof? I should be living with the plants. And I don't know how to work, but I've got to pay the bills, but I've got to trust this prayer. And within a couple of months, I earned 10 grand in a week doing what I loved. But I had to be in the fear and the trust and sit there anyway till that reality happened. So I'd say trust. Thank you. Okay, so. Okay, well, we'll start now, an hour in. Bloody thing. Phallic as well. I just hold it.
Wait. Where do you want to put it in?
Glad that someone else loved it. That was just my language. There we go. Okay. Good. I'll hold it. Thank you. Cool. Okay. So, I want to talk to you about 2 ways that we get our balance with money. Has anyone read the book Attached? Yeah, it's a really good book. It talks about relationships, right? It talks about how we can be anxiously attached or we can be avoidant. So anxiously attached in dating or in love is like not getting enough. Whatever you do is not enough. So, do you like my dress, darling? Yeah, you look great. Yeah, but my bum looks big, doesn't it? No, great. No, but you prefer the red one. No, you look great. You can't get enough of somebody. Like, I love you, but do you mean it? You said it like you meant it more last time. Are you going off me? Is there someone else? Are you having an affair? Right? You're anxious all the time. Have a lovely time on the stag. Dude, don't get drunk. Don't go to a strip club. Text me every night. I'm going to call you every 5 minutes. Don't go near Fred. Fred has bad ideas. Right? It's like an anxiety that just rides with you, whether you're single, whether you're in partnership. Like, you can't get enough, right? And with money, this shows up that no matter how much we have, we feel poor. Okay? And we have our eyes shielded to the abundance in our life. How many people, you don't have to put your hand up, but just notice for yourself, like, how many people walked into this space feeling in lack? Right? Like, I don't have enough. My feathers are from Primark, they're not from the jungle. That woman's really triggering me because her dress looks expensive. Like, how many tattoos has that person got? Like, that's about 10 grand and they're on benefits, but they've got that much money for tattoo. Like, just seeing lack everywhere, right? Resenting other people, costing everything, right? Friends going on holiday. Oh, how much for the flights? How long you go? The business it was just you taking a camping stove or you buying the food, right? Like, you live in this place where it's going to run out. And that's one way that we can be out of balance with money. And in the book Attached, it talks about it in relationships, but it shows up in money. And often how things are showing up in relationships and love can be mirrored in money because it's an energy. Both of these are unseen energies, right? That are ethically important in our life and deeply entwined in many ways. And the other way that we can get our balance of money is we can become avoidant. And in relationships, this looks like okay, I want a partner, I want to grow old with somebody, I'm going to put myself on a dating app, but got a message. Not going to reply to that now, gonna like make them wait, gonna like do something else. Or you get in a relationship and it's like they say I love you and you're like, fuck me, that's too soon. Oh Lord, they're so clingy, they're so needy, oh my God, they're texting all the time. Oh, I got the ick, right? Look at him, like the way he flosses. Oh, so it's this easy way to like drop, right? This easy way to check out, this easy way to cast judgment, or it's not for me, or, you know, like maybe you're looking for more money, but you're like, oh yeah, but like it's only 26 days holiday a year and I want 27. So cut it all out. Or, oh yeah, he ticks all the boxes, but, or she's got blue eyes and I'm into Latino. So like, no, right? Like it's this way that we keep pushing things away. And we do it with money when we don't feel confident holding it. It's like we don't feel confident holding someone's love. We don't feel confident holding someone's attention. We don't feel enough, ultimately. So we push it away, or we leave before we get hurt, because that's a narrative we're running. So we get rid of the money rather than keep it or invest it or use it wisely so it's enough for now and the future, which is a fine balance. Otherwise, you get into hoarding and you never spend in the now, and it's always pushed into this safe space, and that takes you back into avoidant because you're back into the fear of lack. But there are people that I meet with and know who just let money come through like water. And it's like, yeah, just got to pay right. We're all going on holiday. I'm going to pay for everything for everybody because I'm generous and kind. And you come back broke. And then you can't pay off your debts, you can't pay off your bills, and you can't pay off Sheila who lent you the money for the car, but you took her on holiday, so why is she still whinging, right? But because it's this sense that we need to build our muscle to allow ourselves to be seen more, to be loved more. And it's the same with money. We have to build the energy body to allow ourselves to hold that much money. So if you want more money, but you don't work on the energy body to hold it, it's where like the lottery comes in. It's like when people suddenly get loads and then it's gone. They've done this study with science. It must be true. I love science, but it's not God. And it's often used for that these days. So, but they did this study where people who won the lottery, and they looked at them 7 years later, and most of them were back at the same amount of finance they had before they won the lottery. Because unless we do the work, we love that phrase in this festival, like, you know, but you know what it means. Like, unless we like grow and mature and deepen spiritually, emotionally, physically, like we can't hold more. So we find ways to let it go. And that's the other way that we get out of balance with money. So what does that look like physically, tangibly? It's like, you know, if we want to use labels, I have CPTSD, I have ADHD, you know, but I want to sit down with spreadsheets. I don't hold that as my reality. I live my life. But if you want to kind of use excuses to why that might be difficult for me, it's not an easy thing. I'm not naturally a mathematical person. But if I want to get up close and personal and not avoidant with my money, I get myself a spreadsheet, I get myself a candle, I get myself some incense, I get myself cacao, and I sit down and I look at everything I've got. And I get that reality. Like, we can't change unless we know where we really are. Like, how much do I need to bring in every month to just be balanced, right? Like, just make the ends meet. And then how much if I want to save a percentage for pension, or I want to save a percentage to invest, or I want to leave a legacy, or I want to, you know, compound interest. So stuff like that. And we can go, oh, well, I don't have a financial education. Who else doesn't have a financial education? We're not given financial education because then the powers that be would be the powers that be, right? They want to keep us scared of money. But these are shifts and changes that we're all capable of making. Like, you can go home from Medicine Festival and you can just sit down and light a candle and, you know, look at you've got the best interest rate or not. Money's Martin saving, whatever website is, will tell you what you like, you know, just go and you move the money from that account to that account and get more money for the money you've got, right? That's where it starts, right? It doesn't have to be hedge fund and blah, 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 blah. And so it's stuff like, it's that, and it's being aware of where you're leaking, where you're pushing away. It's not conscious buying, but you're going, I can know, right? Pushing the money away, or where you're going, well, I'm not going to go and spend that much money on a random unit. No, I'm going to go to, and it isn't, so like, someone said to me, are you against charity shops? No, love charity shops. But if you only let yourself buy from charity shops, or you get something from a charity shop and it makes you feel crusty, or it smells, like it's not vibing you, it's not helping you, it's not uplifting you, it's not about Prada only or whatever. I don't know anything in Prada, I'm interested in Prada. There's like, and it's not about necessarily materialism. But it's about having enough to do what you want to do, and choosing when you do spend money and being grateful and letting it flow and not being resentful of everything you let go. I used to not think the best way to be was to not spend anything, any money. In the same way I had a big eating disorder. It's also how I was out of balance with giving to myself. I used to think that the purpose was to not eat a single calorie. Right? That was the benefit. A good day was no food, right? How long are you going to live, Helen? I'm not interested in that. I don't know food, right? And let alone enjoying food, that was terrible. It's the same with money. I was like, I'm going to spend no money. Let alone enjoying money. That was terrible. That made me greedy and a bad person. See, it's all these little areas where they mirror them, or big areas. These areas that we often don't talk about, where we're mirroring the same thing. And money is one way of deepening the healing journey. And so when we get into these places, it doesn't mean that just because money is still an issue that the other healing hasn't really happened. Of course it has. This isn't about making you wrong, or it's not good enough yet, or the other stuff shallow. It's just part of it. The spreadsheet and the insurance and all the kind of stuff can be part of the healing. It may not be as glamorous as Cambo or puking in buckets, which is now glamorous, of course. But it may not feel as visceral or as, like shooting off into other dimensions, but it is embodied and it's grounded, and it is what allows, it's the building blocks that allow more of that energy to flow through. Because we have to start with the groundedness, the full, in the same way that we need the masculine banks to be the banks of the river for our feminine energy to flow. And we have that inside us, right? We need to be able to create security for ourselves in order for our creativity and our craziness and our brilliance and our freedom to flow. It's easier to have that, to allow yourself that permission when you know you've also got your own back. So I have built my business because I love traveling, right? I never used to give myself permission to travel. I didn't take a holiday for 6 years. Workaholism, really lived that. And so I want to rebalance that, and I love traveling and I want to be able to travel. So I've built business, like my own business, I get to choose how I want to build it. So I've built it in a way that means that I can travel a lot, but I wanted to feel safe to travel more. And so I was like, when I changed my money story, so I had enough money to buy a house. I was always told, as well as that money meant you were a bad person, that I would never get a mortgage. And my parents, teachers and social workers, didn't have a lot of money, came for a lot less, but they weren't going to help me get a mortgage. And give me a financial education. They just kept saying, you'll never get a mortgage. You're an actress. You're untrustworthy. You'll never get a mortgage. No one will ever give you a mortgage. You'll never get a mortgage, Helen. Never get a mortgage. I'll never get a mortgage. I didn't know what mortgages were. I didn't look at it. I didn't educate myself, right? I othered it. And this time last year, I was talking at this festival, and I'd got a mortgage. I hadn't got a property yet, but I've got a mortgage. Now I've got a property, right? Actually, now I've got 3. Like in the last year, 3 properties have come in. This is why it's got crazy. But like a few years ago, this wasn't my story. And a few years before that, handing out the metro in the rain at 6 a.m. and renting a living room for 11 years, looking at a brick wall was my story. So it's not because I've married somebody or, that's not how it's happened. It's happened by faith and belief and not making money something else and healing this. and good people this and good people that. And it's involved taking the leap. So I don't want to jump around too much, but I want to nail the point that where we get out of balance with money is either by holding on too tightly or by pushing it away. And there tends to be one camp that is much more habitual and happy for us. And so it's about allowing yourself to feel safe, baby steps, by swinging that pendulum much more from side to side so you can find the happy medium in the middle so that your days become a case of easy come, easy go with money, right? And in the middle, you're putting some of that down into savings. So it's easy come, easy go, and then your roots are growing stronger. Easy come, easy go, your roots are growing stronger. And as your roots become stronger, more can come in and then more can leave. More can come in and more can leave. And money stops being scary. So you're allowed to let more come in and then you can let more leave as long as you keep on doing the funneling bit in the middle, right? So then you get into a space where you can rest. You get into a space where if you want to take time out to raise a child or have a baby, it's not like, oh, but I have to then still work 18 hours a day. It means that you don't have, it means that you're safe, that if a relationship becomes violent or you need to leave, you've got resources, right? It means that you're giving for yourself so that you can serve more. I look at what's going on in the Middle East and I'm like, what can I do? Like, I'm praying, but what can I do? So I have money now. I can give some money. I can find a charity that's really creating a difference. And that stops me feeling as powerless. But I also believe the power of prayer is epic because that is how I've got to where I am. Because it's not doing this alone. But when I was making money wrong and horrible and ugly, no wonder it didn't want to come to my party. Right? When I was sitting on dates, secretly thinking, you have the potential to kill me. No wonder I wasn't getting laid. The people I wanted to have sex with, you know what I mean? No one wanted a second date because they were sitting there going, I don't wear heels because I could run in trainers. Right? I actually said that to someone on a date. He told me I wasn't his type. So this is what we do with money, right? Like we look at how bad it is or how like wrong we would want to be to have it rather than going, oh my God, money, thank you, you've given me this cacao. Right? And when we get stuck by looking at the job or the parents or the thing, it's literally like going to Tesco's and going, Tesco's, thank you for giving me the food. Tesco's is like, God, Tesco's brought me the food. And forgetting about the land and the farmers and the workers and ultimately the creator, right? It's not Tesco's, it's just a tap. Tesco's is a tap that allows us to get those things, or Abel and Cole or Riverswood or, you know, your local organic shop or whatever your nourishment is, right? And it's the same with money. Like it can come from anywhere. I'll give you a quick story about this. So I did my master's at the Muslim story, and then very quickly I was drinking ayahuasca and deep respect to that medicine. And after 3 ceremonies in 3 weekends, I was told, have you been to the jungle? The jungle is the place that you go to. You're going to get to the jungle. We're going to go to the home of ayahuasca, jungle. I've got to go to the jungle. And as I had that realization, and then the ceremony was coming to an end. I was in Dartmoor. It's winter. It's very cold. Very cold. There's no central heating. It's very cold ceremony. And I turned on my phone, and my ex-partner, the person who I'd been at Glastonbury with, had sent me a text saying, Helen, I'm not going to the jungle in March. Do you want my ticket? But this is what manifestation is. I did everything else about it. Never done yoga. I didn't know what a chakra was. I didn't own any crystals, and I ate all the mushrooms. So I was on a really steep, backward pedaling learning journey, trying to catch up. I never called anyone sister. I was freaked out by strangers hugging me. I didn't get comfortable with eye contact. Like I was, I just lived off Diet Coke and still thought calories were evil. Like I was, I think basically the plants just went, grab it now, quickly, as much as possible. Stop it before it goes any more wrong. put down the Diet Coke, put down the Coke. And I heard you meant to go to the jungle, and I'd tasted what this medicine, like what healing could feel like. And it's like, I've got to go to the jungle. He's texted me. Oh my God, I'm going to the jungle. And then I was like, how much is it? There's £3,000 coming from, right? But I said yes. I said yes, and I had no idea how I was going to get that money. And that was just the ceremony. That wasn't the flights, right? There was no food, so you didn't have to worry about that. But do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, where's this money coming from? And I was petrified. But I felt, occasionally this has happened to me, when I've literally felt like God's foot, if God has a foot, I don't think it does. There's no feet, but the metaphor, right? So kicking me up the bum, going, that's right? I had the same thing when I knew I was meant to drink plant medicine. So I thought, I've got to go to the jungle. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't want to spend money. I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. So, and I was raised to think credit cards are evil and you should never get one. And I don't think that's true. I think as you're going in debt, sometimes is a leap of faith, and we need to do that. But again, it's like not when you're still in the unconscious pushing it away, right? That's a different relationship. But they're not to be scared of, because all money's coming from God. And if God is coming through a credit card and that's what you need in order to build the future and pay off your future self before it's manifested, then that's the leap you need to make. But it's a case-by-case basis. So I said yes to the jungle. And by the time I'd got to the jungle, because I just stayed in the prayer, a friend who ran a charity sent me a check for £100. My mum, who thought I was going off to die, who'd never given me any money, gave me 150 quid. I sold stuff on eBay. I found somebody to rent out my room on Airbnb. I had never got an advert as an actor, because every advert I looked at, I thought, no, that's for nasty stuff. No, don't believe in that product. No. Or I was like, I so need this money. And I was turning up like almost shaking with the need of wanting the job. So nobody wants to put that on camera. And so I got my first advert that filmed the day before I got on the plane, and it was for £3,000. So I went to the jungle, and I Airbnb'd my room, and I got my 250 quid from people who loved me, and I came back with a profit. Right. Woo. But that was saying yes to the foot on the bum feeling. And in the jungle, I was told to stop doing all the work. But I was like, but it worked once to get here. But like, how do I do it now? I can't be in my flat and Airbnb it. Am I meant to sleep under the bed? But that is my second point, is that the brain will go, oh yeah, I'll do that when you've got the proof, right? I'll get the coach when I've got the money, or I'll start the business when my kids are older, or I'll, I want to know the roadmap that works for my brain to feel safe, and then I take the leap. But then it's not a leap. Then the brain's in charge, right? And the fear and the programs are ruling the show, and that's not how the magic happens. Like, God is part, and money and love all part of the plan, right? If we keep swapping the words love and money around, it's like you don't know that someone's going to be your person before you go on the date. You have to go on the date and risk being stood up and told you're not their kind of person because you want to be a trainer so you can run away. Like, you have to risk the humiliation and the hurt and the failure and all the stuff to create. And that's what money is. It's another way to create. And so it requires a leap of faith to love yourself that a bit deeper, to buy yourself the abundance bowl, not the £8.50 version, because you trust that you're enough for that. It's living from the place and the vibration of enoughness now, before you've got the 6 figures plus in the bank, that is going to bring in the 6 figures plus in the bank, if that's the amount that you want, right? And it's feeling deeply, 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 deeply till you are crying and weeping with the joy of what you have, grateful that allows more to come in. Like, I was told gratitude is the key, Ken. Gratitude is the key. And I was doing my gratitude lists, and I was writing them from a place of fuck off energy. My angry handwriting. I've got them. I've still got them. I've still got the notebooks. And my skin horrible stationery, as I wouldn't pay for my stationery. In my little 99p notebook, that the pages are so thin you could see there the writing. And I was writing, I'm grateful that I've got a bed. I'm grateful that my flatmate is no longer kethead. I'm grateful. I was feeling grateful. I was doing it because I've been told to do it, right? And I'm a big anarchist. I hate following orders. But I didn't know how I was meant to change, so I was trying everything. And so I was writing my grateful lists. I wasn't grateful. But now I pray twice a day. You pray however you want to pray. But my prayer, how I've been taught to pray and how it's really helped me shift shit quickly, is often we only go to prayer when we want stuff. But I start all my prayers with thank you. And I go into the thank yous until I can feel myself weeping with the thank yous for what I have. Like, thank you for my cells. Thank you for the fact I didn't die when I was trying to. Thank you for the fact that my past is not dictating my future. Thank you for when I was nervous before coming to speak to you, I was just like praying, thank you for the opportunity. Like, thank you that I've done enough to share something. Like, thank you. Like, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Like, thank you for giving me an opportunity, being seen in the changes that I have made. We've always got more thank you. And if you're buying the 27p loaves of bread at Lidl and is ending the sourdough that's a £5, but thank you that you got the 27p. There are places in the world where people are eating their feces because they haven't got food, right? That's a reality for someone right now on this planet. We are all so abundant, no matter how much debt you've got. The fact that we can be here, right? We can doing the work is a privilege. When you are running from a bomb or a man with a gun or a parenting or a child, you can't heal because you are in terror. The fact that we're here and we can do it is a privilege. There is always shit going on in our life. And there is always a way to be grateful. And it's finding the gratitude first before we ask that shifts the balance. Because that is what takes us into being stabilized and securely attached in our roots in the earth, of being able to let stuff come and go, because we keep coming back to gratitude, because we never know when we're waking up. My mum, bless her, failed me in many ways, but because of her, I'm here. And she was still working, and she got told, you've got 10 weeks to live, and she believed that, and she wouldn't do the things I was encouraging her to do, whether they would have worked or not, I don't know. And she's not here anymore. In 10 weeks, she was gone. We never know. And to spend all our time being so scared of money when it can change. Last year, I had a mortgage and I was really proud. Now I've got 3 properties. It blows my mind. Blows my mind. I don't understand what God's doing. But I'm so grateful. And it's come, there's gnarly shit still happens to me. I'm not different. I'm not other. I'm holding the mic, but any of you could be holding the mic. You've all got stories. You've all got brilliant things you've done and turned around. We're all teachers to each other. But the seed I really want to plant is that you're enough. Money is not different. You are not special that you get to have a difficult money story. You might have had a difficult money story, but fuck me, it can change from today. Right? I didn't know. It doesn't have to involve copious amounts of plant medicine. It doesn't have to involve, a knight in shining armour or the lottery win. It can involve you falling more in love with yourself. That's where it starts. And as you fall more in love with yourself, you fall more in love with how you are and how you've been created, how this is all happening. It's bloody ridiculously extraordinary. I can't fathom it. We can't. We have to give up and go, fucking have me. But say it to, and I do say that to the creative, not the destructive, because that is also very palpable. And whether you call it the devil, or you call it Vatika, or you call it fundamental darkness, it's available and it's really loud and it's got a bigger microphone than me on a daily basis. And that's why daily prayer, daily practice, daily looking at your money, daily loving your money, daily loving you is all part of the journey. It's all part of the healing. Like every time you buy food, every time you buy clothes, every time you give a present, give a hug, give a love, like is a deepened chance to come into more love of money. And there are so many ways that I can share and teach and talk about how to do this. But we've only got 10 minutes left. And I hopefully have given an into any little nooks or crannies for more to shift. But I want to give a chance for any questions in the last few minutes you may have. Yes.
I was wondering if you could speak a bit on like how to hold money, because my tendency is very much like I have anything, spend it and go back to survival mode again and again. So just feeling like how to like what is a frequency of holding and having the capacity to hold money in larger scales.
3 words. Don't spend it. You can do this in many ways. You can get it all out of the bank and sleep with it under your pillow. You seriously can, right? Like you might do that with a crystal. Can you do that with money? Right? Like when you have a tendency to go shopping or get your mate's lunch, go, do you know what? I'm working on my money story. Do you mind if we go Dutch? I love you. Can we go Dutch? Right? This is how I'm loving myself right now. I'm working out how to let go of it less. And sit with how uncomfortable that makes you feel. Sit with what it feels like to window shop and not spend. Go, I can buy that and I'm choosing not to because I'm expanding my energy with money. And it might feel like hell. The first time you go to the gym and you lift heavy weights, right? Like, but it's growing, it's strengthening. With me. And it's allowing yourself to love yourself without whatever story you've said. I'm the kind of person who is generous or gives or lets it flow, or, you know, I'm a spiritual person. Like, it's all just like, come easy, go, like, yeah, babes, like whatever. That version is in you. And I don't know you to talk about it, but like allowing yourself to feel safe for that not to be in charge of the steering wheel. Yeah.
It just came to me then that maybe this, like the holding is the masculine you were talking about, and then the letting go is kind of like, the kind of...
Not in gender terms, because men and women can get taken out in the same ways. Sure. But in terms of energy, yeah, for sure. The structure and the clarity and the decision and the steadfastness is definitely our masculine energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't...
Yeah.
But it's connected because my whole thing around abundance is then like it's interesting you're saying like daily look at your money, because I have the opposite. I actually have no idea. I had no idea what's going on financially, and I just have this kind of like, I trust it'll be fine. I trust it'll be fine. And somehow it does kind of somehow work out. And luckily, my husband has the same attitude. He doesn't like neither of us know. It's just like there's a flow in and there's a flow out. So, and it does work, but we've always got just enough. Like, there's never like the full abundance that we're calling in.
So it's not, I don't think you should daily look at your money from a counting calories or weighing myself every day kind of way, unless you're really like out of bounds in that respect. But it's like, get the spreadsheet and check in every week or check in every month. And if it's about like having enough, but wanting actually what is like the dream of having more, like the legacy dream, right? That's part of my work for next year, is really working on legacy. And like, you know, like how do I set up a foundation, or how do I launch a festival if I'm not a lady going to inherit, you know, this land? Like, how do I do that? So then it's a different dream, and it's creating a different container. And so is it about, like, let me imagine that that's the dream. So is it that, okay, you get up close and personal in the same way. It's like, if I want to buy a house, that's how much it's going to cost. This is where I get my mortgage from. This is how much I need to get as a deposit. And it's like, well, okay, but if we're talking 10 million, getting the same structure and not getting into the how am I going to do that, but making the reality more crystal, like making it more solid by bringing that down onto a spreadsheet. Because if you've got a spreadsheet for your monthly ingoings and outgoings, but the big dream is this, why don't we bring that in as well? But there's a nuance, because sometimes I work with people and they're like, yeah, I want 5 million. And it's like, well, how much are you bringing in a month now? And it's like 2 grand. It's like, well, that was where I was stuck for 20 years. So it was 2 grand. And it's like, okay, 20 million, like 5 million is such a big leap that it feels like a dream. It doesn't feel tangible. So then what would it be to actually double your money? What would it be to get to 4 grand? And then start with 4 grand and work with that as a reality. And then you're stretching without going like, I can't run 5K, but I want to run a marathon. Because you can then start banking the wins.
So in your opinion, do you think my fact that it made me was sit this idea of getting a spreadsheet out and looking at the numbers, is that
Yes. If there's nausea involved.
yeah, I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was like a total like just trusting.
It's a balance. But wherever we have a blind spot, the enemy can take us down, or Watiko can creep in, right? We want to be like, knowledge is wisdom. Like, the more we can understand, the more we can have discernment. And it's not about getting into a space where, like, you can't not stop looking at your spreadsheet. Or like people I know got really into crypto. I got really burned in crypto, but I also made money. I didn't know crypto's a space, right? But like people, but it was like their line of coke. Like, they couldn't put the phone down because like it moved so fast. But that's not healthy. But it's securely attached, right? One more question. Yes.
So, how do you know? I mean, there's so much. It's like, how do you know when you've got balance? I mean, I'm a massive overspender, very impulsive, even to the point that I buy something, don't like it, fuck it, give it away because everything's on loan. Can't take it with you. But I'm also a good saver. So how do you know when you've got the right balance for yourself? How do you measure it?
I think that's going to be different for everybody, but I think it comes down to when you feel like you can trust yourself. So no amount of money can make you feel safe. Like, I work with people who have 500 million and they feel broke compared to the person who has 1 billion, right? And then we're talking trillions. So it's not about the amount, but it's about, I trust myself to buy this thing. But if you know you have a tendency to be like, oh yeah, fuck it, put it in the basket. Like, how can you work with yourself to not do that for a while? And what does it feel like to do that for a while? And then what does it feel like to spend the time and only buy what really calls you? And what part of you is not feeling safe to not get something they want? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like the story about like, oh, when I was a child, I was never bought anything, so now I want to buy my inner child all the things. But it can be like, just right now in that moment, I notice my hand reaching for the or maybe it's like reaching for the biscuit, or like, you know, the unconscious eating. It can show up in many ways, same thing. It's like, what does it feel like to just love myself enough to not do that? And then see what happens if I just buy maybe one thing that's more money than I'm used to feeling comfortable spending, that I really value. Or what does it feel like to put all of that into savings, but maybe allocate that pot of savings to helping somebody else that's really going to light me up, or taking myself or my mum on a holiday, or my partner, or whatever like thing that is going to give yourself a dopamine hit for not doing the dopamine hit in the more reckless way. Okay, I know there's going to be lots of questions. I can't take any more just because I want to be conscious of the sister who's going to come in next. But what I want to say is just like, thank you and give yourselves a clap. There's money in the script, it's triggering. And you're in the secondary space and you've stayed to the end. And you've been beautiful and brilliant to look at and receive from. So thank you very, very much. In terms of like next steps, I have a YouTube channel, Helen Millar. It's comes and goes. Sometimes I'm really on it, sometimes I'm not. I'm on Instagram, Helen Heart Healer, and I have a website, which is the best place to reach me because I often say things that the algorithms don't like and will potentially can wipe me off the platform. Like, fuck you. Opinions that don't conform. All of them. So don't best view my website and join my mailing list. I have cards here. I have the QR code of Wanda. Coming up, I run my work's about living from the heart. So money's part of the journey, right? And for those of you who heard, I also teach you to talk to trees and blah blah blah. But it's all sorts of things I do. But it's about coming down here and really, really transforming where there's no turning back. It's not a 6-week course where, you know, oh, that was fun 5 years ago, but, you know, as it moves the needle, I'm interested in like deep fundamental change. So I work with people over periods and I work with groups. I haven't done groups because I've been on this crazy year, which is why the 3 property thing has happened, but which is a whole trauma story in itself. But I have coming up a weekend retreat that has only just come into my consciousness as I got onto the land. I said, what am I going to... So I'm going to run a weekend retreat on money. For those of you who want to do that. And I also have a big year-long container starting next January. And I also work with people one-to-one. So those are the things that I know I'm doing. I don't constantly do the same stuff because I go with where I'm guided through prayer. And that's me. So stay in touch. I'd love to stay in touch. You're all awesome. And I pray and know if I can do it from like spitting at people with the metro, more or less, like you can too, right? Like it's God, it's money, it's flow, it's love.